and that is about half of the total length of the canal. It's the largest earth dam. It's 1.5 miles long and 1/2 mile wide at the bottom and 164 square miles. And it produces this huge lake, which is actually the world's largest artificial lake. There's also a mountainous area which is called Culebra Cut, which was only 9 miles long, but it was the most difficult and dangerous part of the job. The spoil, which is the material that is taken out when you excavate the land, was used actually to build the Gattam Dam. The Culebra Cut is 272 feet from the highest rocky ridge, which is about 25 stories. When you read what happened when that cut was being made, it was the most exasperating part of the building of the Panama Canal. Because in this area, in addition to heat, you had daily serious rains. So when you had excavated the material, it was still soft, and then these torrential rains would come and often force back down into the very areas that you removed it, the materials that you removed. So crews would work all day, a rainstorm would come, and whatever they accomplished was lost due to the rain. The answer kept coming back to the engineers that you had to just keep widening the canal. And if you go back to that picture that I showed you of the Suez Canal, remember I told you that it was wide. And the wider that you make it, you can make the angles of the borders of it less steep. And when you make it less steep, the materials, the spoil, doesn't fall back into the canal. And that's what they did. And you see evidence of it, again, as you move forward. And I'm going to show you some pictures of it. Just to tell you about the working conditions, at noontime in Panama, in the canal area, the temperatures are often 100 to 130 degrees. There is daily drenching rain. There is high humidity both day and night. And dynamite accidents from heat and lightning were actually quite common and could be devastating, were devastating. Despite all of that, they opened the canal August 15th, 1914, 6 months ahead of schedule. A cement boat was the first passage, and everything worked perfect. Unfortunately, there was no celebration because World War I had been declared on August 3rd, 1914, which was only 12 days before the opening of the canal. So the country really wasn't in a mood to celebrate a canal. They were lamenting the fact that a world war had just been declared, of which they were going to be a participant. The canal cost $352 million in 1914 dollars. About 5,600 workers died due to the American construction. Remember, I had told you that 20,000 died during the French construction. Tens of thousands of people worked on the project from 68 different countries. Here are some of the specifications. The canal is 50 miles long. The length of the Culebra Cut is 9 miles. The length of the Gattam Lake is 24 miles. There are 12 locks, which are 6 pairs, 3 stations, and those stations are the Gattam Station, the Miguel Station, and the Miraflores Station. I had already told you the width of the locks were, the length of the locks were 1,000 feet, width at 110, and depth of 80 feet. The general elevation of the canal is 85 feet, and it's opened in 1914. 1 million ships of every size and kind from every country in the world have made passage. Incalculable savings of time and money. And until December 31st, 1999, the Americans ran the canal. Let me show you some of these pictures. Here are the double locks that are seen in the very first station, which is the Gattam Station, and one that you can see from land very easily. Next is a bridge that connects the two sides. It's a new bridge. It's called the Millennium Bridge, and every ship that that transverses the canal has to go under this bridge. Here is the Culebra Cut, and what I want to point out about the Culebra Cut is you see the striations on that solid rock. You also see how narrow it is at that point. And it's those striations that widen and continue to widen the rock that allow it, the rock to stay in place and not fall back into the canal when it actually rains. About 12,000 ships a year pass through the canal, and here you see it going under the Millennium Bridge. However, as rosy as everything sounds, based on what I said so far, there are problems in the future. Take a look at this ship. It's crossing through one of the locks. These locks are only 110 feet wide. The ships, about a third of them today, are wider than 110 feet. And some of them are longer than 1,000 feet, which is the length of these locks. So a lot of these ships are unable to go through the Panama Canal, and that's problems for the Panama Canal. Now, when you come back tomorrow, I'm going to tell you how this problem is going to be addressed and ultimately solved.